Welcome everyone. It's block height 843320. You're listening to The Art of Freedom. This is episode 8. I'm Rebel Money, and as ever, I've got my wonderful co-host Florencia. How are you doing, Flo?
Hey Rebel, I'm doing just fine. Having
That's good.
a beautiful day here, a bit cold, but beautiful.
That's amazing. Yes, it's a bit rainy here, and we had hailstones, huge hailstones here yesterday. Quite interesting weather we're having at the moment here in Wales. How's your creative week going though?
Um, yeah, not so good, but I have had so much work to do. So last week I actually didn't do anything art related, I think. Maybe everything is art related, but not like a new piece or anything. But I hope this week I can go back to the workshop and produce some art. Yours? How is yours going?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Working on a piece now for Nashville at the moment, which I'm really excited about, pushing the boundaries with what I've done before in the past. I'm excited to share it with everyone when the time is right. But yeah, as anything, like good art just takes so much time, which is part of the pleasure of it. Making something great, just doesn't happen overnight. So yeah, just there's that, and looking forward as well. I need to shout out the pizza day that's happening in London on 23rd of May. We've got. I'm going to head down there just to have a look, but I know that Cypher and the 2140 crew are putting on a little mini art gallery there. So yeah, looking forward to that. I know some of our friends are looking exhibiting there. I think Asano is doing something. So yeah, it should be good. I'm sure there's people here listening in the audience as well that have pieces there. So I'm looking forward to go down, have a chat with Bitcoiners and Bitcoin artists. It's going to be a fun day.
Yeah, I was hoping to get something there too, but I'm so far away. It's a bit hard. Um, so I don't think I'll make it, but it's looking so amazing. I'm FOMOing. That's what I don't like about living here. It's like I feel like it's not even on Earth. It's like I'm in the moon sometimes. But yeah, well, I really I mean for everyone who is going to be able to go there and see that, it's looking like it's going to be amazing. So I hope people go and enjoy it.
Definitely, yes. Well, we'll see. Well, we're gonna. Best of luck to those guys. I know how much it takes to put an art gallery on. So I'm looking forward to going down there to London. But if you, much like anything on this show, it's a very collaborative community effort. If you have any events or anything that you wish for us to broadcast or bring up, please let us know. And with the show as well, if there's anything you'd like to ask our guest today, which will be introduced very shortly, please just step up to the mic. This is not the Rebel and Flow show, that's for certain. It's a community art broadcast. So anyone wants to jump in and talk, that's what we're doing. We're just here providing, I don't know, hosting services, something like that, to try and grow this incredible Bitcoin art movement, the freedom art movement. So, without further ado, Florencia, I'll let you do the honors this week.
Thank you. So I want to introduce our guest, Proof of Ink. And yeah, well, how are you? How are you doing today?
How's it going on? What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for coming here. Just let's go in. Like, if you can tell me what's your rabbit hole story first, that would be very cool. And then we go into the art and all.
Sure. Yeah. So I got into Bitcoin in August of 21, and it. So I kind of have, I'm just like many other people that are into Bitcoin. I'm kind of spectrumy, and I couldn't, I couldn't let it go once I started scratching on it, and I kind of went from pretty quick to complete maximalist. It took me about 2 months to like really get it to click to understand Bitcoin, and then from there I kind of just that like it was such a huge flip for me to like really get Bitcoin, then also understand like how manipulative our current monetary system is. That someone who spent 20 years in the military and I was a defense contractor, um, kind of understanding that that whole thing that I was working towards was just a complete bullshit lie. It really threw me for a loop. My entire last year um, of being in Bitcoin before, like while I was still employed, I was miserable in my job. Luckily I get to work with a lot of great Bitcoiners doing like Stack Chain and building that magazine up and getting to be creative again. So when the opportunity arose for me to leave that and go full time into Bitcoin of February and last year, like I did, I made geoloed into it.
That's so cool. It's yeah, I get what you say. Like it can really become like an obsession. I I think well, even though my story is not like the same because I had the help of my family. Like we were like orange peeling ourselves at the same time. Maybe my dad first, then my brother. I don't know, but I do understand that obsessive feeling like and how this thing changes like maybe your whole perspectives and stuff like that. So maybe if you can go a bit deeper, like how, like what's your I don't know if art background or how did you started to
How
do?
did I go from being in the army and being in defense to
Yes.
being in art? Yeah, so it's kind of a
Yes.
weird stretch. Well, I love being creative. I was able to do that a little bit in my job when I would have to do strategic type stuff. So that was kind of like my creative outlet, was thinking strategically about business type things and what I was doing. But I always loved art. I loved art in high school. Wanted to go to college for art. Before I joined the military. Um, but there was no career path for me, and it was kind of like because of fiat the way it is. Like I was, I needed to do something that I had basically had to give up on my love and not get into art because I had to focus on what would bring money in. So I did that instead, and I gave it up while I was in high school, and I had to take mandatory art classes while I was in college, and I love those. Those were my favorite classes of anything. I had some pieces that were actually displayed in our city's art museum. Some of my pieces from class, which is really cool. But it was always like a thing I loved, but never thought I could do. Make a living for it, and then being with my group in Stack Change, getting into art again, and being able to manipulate pictures and create new logos and new pieces that people enjoyed. It's been an awesome experience. Even in some of my shirts, some of them are other Bitcoin artists because I don't have time, unfortunately, to create everything unique my own. But yet there are some pieces that are mine, and it's how I get to be creative all day now, which is it's much more rewarding.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a very cool story. I mean, the way that you ended up doing what you like loved from the beginning, and that Bitcoin led you to that.
Yeah,
It's
I like to
very
say that
inspiring.
Bitcoin. I like to say that Bitcoin like brought me back. So I'm 42 now, but I feel like Bitcoin kind of zapped me back to like when I was 16. I was into art. I was all against any sort of authority. Wore the nice anarchy symbols and railed against my teachers and principals. And Bitcoin kind of like brought me right back into my 16-year-old self, which was kind of wild.
Yeah, I love that. I love that how it's like bringing the essence maybe back. And I wanted to ask, like, so first you started with Stack Chain magazine to work together, or like you founded that project? I didn't like quite get that.
Yeah, so me and a group of my friends, we started. Well, I guess no one really started Stack Chain. It just sort of evolved. July 18th, 2 years ago. A year into it, we launched our first magazine because we didn't like the direction that Bitcoin Magazine was going. It wasn't a voice for the common person that was into Bitcoin. It was, it told that some news, but like didn't have a lot of art, and it didn't have a lot of. It wasn't fun. It was just a boring freaking magazine that no one actually ever read. And so me and my friends just wanted to create something new. We wanted to do something creative and then use the skills that we learned memeing to create a fun magazine. So we kind of put together this magazine. This July will be our first anniversary of it, and we have had 4 issues so far, and it's gone really well. And it's kind of like a mix between Mad Magazine and like old school Rolling Stone. We like to we like to kind of picture it. But really, what it features is everyone's passion projects, right? So it doesn't get into too technically stuff. It's focused on people writing their stories about what they're passionate about in Bitcoin, whatever that may be.
Yeah, that I love the focus you have. Um, I actually have like in my notes that I want to like collaborate with you guys because I love the magazine so much. It's looking like an amazing project. Um, so I wanted like if anyone wants to, for example, have their art in your magazine or something like that, how is usually that process of collaboration with other artists?
Yeah, so great question. So usually the person that if we see something we like, we'll reach out to someone, but we don't get to see everything, unfortunately, because there's a million things happening on Twitter every single day. So artists or writers, anyone that wants to write an article or contribute to the magazine in any way, usually reaches out to us. So they'll either DM one of the people that are a part of the magazine or the at Stackchain Mag handle itself, and we'll drop them into the group chat and we'll start working with them on their piece for the magazine.
Yeah, very cool. That's very collaborative. And I want to go back to Proof of Ink itself. Like, so we have been talking for a while now, doing this article. So I want to let everyone know, our friends, that you can also have that for yourself. So I've been working with Proof of Ink, and we have now fine articles of some of my drawings, and it's been such a nice process for me. Like I said, like I sometimes feel like I have so much going on that I end up not doing stuff because it's too much work or too much hustle, or I don't know. But in this case, it was so like friendly process, and now I feel like I can bring my art closer to other people. Um, so yeah, in general, I would like to know more about you, like the Proof of Ink project itself, but also like what other kind of collaborations or what other kind of projects or like that one are you working on, and what our other artist friends should know.
Yeah, no, great question. Yeah, so kind of my approach to, because Proof of Ink is a business at the end of the day, is to collaborate as much as possible. Um, there's amazing artists all over the world, and as you found out, it's hard to, there's a lot of extra steps if you wanted to get your art in the U.S. Um, so I offer printing services for those. So the Zclay fine art prints that people can now purchase in the U.S. and get them shipped to them, and they'll be able to have your art on their wall, which is cool. I know I bought an awesome octopus piece from Maddox that he had printed out as well, and it's like there's a lot of people that can't afford originals, and that's fine. Like originals aren't for everyone. Not everyone is a collector. There's plenty of appreciators, and it's it's nice to be able to link those two together to get people to have the art on their walls. But yeah, I partner with either different artists or different groups like Time Chain Stats, Time Chain Calendar, um, Seed Signer. being able to provide an outlet for their merch and being able to fill it for them, to support their projects, and connecting all these people together is kind of my kind of strategy, I guess you could say.
I think it's really cool. I like proof. I'm so gutted I didn't get my penny orange printed with you guys. I literally found out about you when I put the penny orange out, and you said, "Oh, I'd love to have printed that." I was like, "I'd love for you to have printed that," because it's all about this Bitcoin circular economy, isn't it? And everyone supporting each other, and the more people we can actually um, onboard and support our fellow Bitcoiners in whatever craft they're doing, um, it brings the kind of the Bitcoin, I suppose, landscape and infrastructure further forward.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's exactly the point. If there's projects or artists that just, so I'm a big fan of Jeff Booth, and I think what he was talking about as far as working in our system and not the legacy fiat system is how we gotta think of things, right? So we're all self-incentivized to keep everything within our system as much as possible. So if you wanted to get a t-shirt made or art printed, it doesn't make sense to send that economic energy back into the fiat world, right? You would keep it all in-house as much as possible. So that's kind of what I've kind of been going with. And plenty of Bitcoin companies now are getting on board of, they all have shirts they give away at conferences and festivals and stuff like that. And there's more and more seeing the value on getting that printed by a Bitcoiner, keeping that energy in the Bitcoin system, and keeping that circular economy going. Because at the end of the day, like, there's so many people when they spend their first sat, so like, oh no, I need to make sure I record this and do this. And I think it was Beauty on has a really good illustration of, KYC and non KYC Bitcoin, as far as like, once you get it into the non KYC realm, like, it doesn't fucking matter. Just spend the Bitcoin like it's supposed to be spent and enjoy it and being able to use it and being able to use Bitcoin every day. Um, you know, Sending payments to either my artists or receiving payments for work done. It's cool being able to use Bitcoin the way it's supposed to be used, not just sit on it.
I agree completely. It's very interesting, isn't it? And I know this is a point that Florencia brings up all the time, and we both agree on this: is that when you do a transaction in fiat or whatever, it's just kind of, or whatever it might be, tap with your card or whatever it is. That's fine. It's almost like a matter of fact thing. Yeah, got to pay for the groceries, whatever it might be. But when when you actually transact in Bitcoin, especially for my art, I find it an incredibly humbling experience. I think, wow, someone is giving up some of the hardest money that, well, the hardest money that's ever been produced, and is actually using it to on my services and skills. And I don't think there's any bigger kind of compliment than there is than that. By spending sats actually on art, etc. And in fact, I think one of my collectors has actually used one of my pieces in a transaction for one of her pieces. They've actually got they've actually got that in along with the piece, because it's not just the actual art piece itself. It's one of the only Bitcoin transactions they said they're ever going to do, because it's so valuable. So keeping that kind of that in the Bitcoin space is great, and providing those services and not getting the energy out. I completely agree with a very, very valid point. Yeah, and so I just want to know, like, going back to kind of a bit of the Stack Chain magazine part you mentioned earlier. I don't know whether you're aware. I did a project called 21ism a long time ago. Now it seems like a long time ago. Now it's like 3 years ago, and that's how Flo and I met when I interviewed her for the magazines. So how's your community, Stack Chain Magazine community, grown? Because I've seen people all over the internet now, on Twitter, really kind of really treasuring their copies of Stack, and it's actually become a collectible in itself.
Yeah, we actually just had our first couple sales in the secondary market because the first three magazines are all sold out. And we had a issue of Volume One sell for 1.3 million sats the other day, which is, I mean, it's part of me can't believe that someone would spend that much money on it, and the other half of me would never sell my copy for that little. So it's pretty wild. But yeah, so it's weird how Stack Chain kind of brought us all together, replying to the same thread for over a year. We just became friends, a lot of us, and we've met each other several times in the real world, and we've been able to put together this magazine. And the crazy thing is, I think about the magazine is that there's no one in charge. It's just a group of people working towards a single purpose to, create this really a piece of art. Um, and it's been an absolute joy to work on every week we put it together, and whenever we come out with a new issue, it's just seeing that cover is just so cool.
So it's actually a decentralized magazine in itself, then, just in the same way you're kind of mimicking Bitcoin's values.
So the funny thing is in Stack Chain itself, our game of stacking $1 more than the next person, we've kind of in a lot of ways we tried to mimic the Bitcoin protocol as much as possible. Like we had SIPs for Stack Chain improvement protocols to recommend changes to it, and we've there's been people that have tried to control it as much as possible, and then we've realized that there is no way to control it. It's whatever people are willing to stack on, right? That's at the end of the day, that's the only rule. Is the longest chain wins, and whoever wants to post it, posts it. And if people like it, they'll post on it, and if not, they'll just orphan the block. And but yeah, it's weird, kind of putting together something where there's no leader. We try to vote and reach consensus on as much things as possible, but there's definitely things we get not, or I wouldn't say arguments, but discussions with of, like we only print 210 copies of the first years of magazines, so that we're at the point now where we're selling out pretty quickly. Whenever we do a print, because we never reprint and we don't offer it online other than just the articles themselves. So it's always a constant struggle of trying to, it's just convincing people, right? It's just consensus and trying to sway everyone to one side or the other, and working together to the point where, if someone has a hard opinion on something, um, you have to take that into account, because at the end of the day, like, we're building this together and we don't want people to leave our group that are building it. So, you kind of got to listen to people, even if everyone might be on board. If one person is a hard no, making sure that their opinion is evaluated and listened to try to get them on board. Because at the end of the day, if one person leaves, it's difficult. There's different people doing different things, whether they're contacting writers and putting together the articles, editing, designing, posting about it on Twitter, making the videos for it, doing distribution. We're all kind of doing different jobs, but at the end of the day, we're all behind a single project.
I mean, I don't think people appreciate how much effort goes into making a magazine, and it is a piece of art in itself. I think when we did 21ism, um, that was a year. We did 12 months. There was 5 of us working on it, and that was during the COVID days as well. So we had a bit more free time than perhaps we would have normally. Um, and it's just crazy. People think, oh, it's just a bit of it's just a bit of paper with some information on it. But I can tell by I by the way, I don't own a Stack Chain magazine. I'm ashamed that I don't own a Stack Chain magazine, but it made me feel better that the fact there's only 210 as well out there. So I'm gonna have to go hunting them down definitely after this. Um, So I definitely want to get my hands on the next issue when it comes out. But yeah, it is making a magazine is an art piece itself. And as you say, like you're almost like you're acting like nodes on the Bitcoin network, kind of checking each other's work. And I guess then the longest chain wins, and then builds and builds and builds.
Yeah, so that's kind of how the art works as well. We come up with a, like I said, we're in so many different chats, but someone will come up with an idea, and someone will like create the meme around that idea, and someone will meme off that, someone will improve that, and it's just a bunch of different people putting their creative energy into a single, even just an image of it just bouncing around from different person to different person. Everyone adds their little tweak and adds their little signature to it, and it creates creates the art, creates a magazine.
What's your kind of, as I suppose you're not editors, you said there's no kind of your co-editors, but what's your take on the whole Bitcoin culture but art space at the moment? Where do you see where we're at the moment?
As far as the art space, I mean, I don't have probably a too strong opinion on it. I think it's really interesting that you see much different art coming from the Bitcoin space, where people value proof of work than you do, in this fiat world of people, whether they're taping a banana to a canvas or doing something else that's really kind of low, high time preference type art. It's like who really fascinates me, and the first artist I ever followed in Bitcoin space was Bitcoin Apex. He does all the pen drawings. I'm sure you've seen his work.
Yes, I've seen his work. That is ridiculous
And
proof of work.
it's amazing. And there's so many artists that kind of are bringing back that classical style, whether it be Brecky with his marble carvings, or even Florencia, her beautiful art. It's nice to see that, because I said this fiat art is just crap, in my opinion. It just when you have it's not a what you can do, it's a who you know, and then that's kind of how your art gets gains steam. And I think people appreciate the beauty in the Bitcoin space a lot better.
Yeah, it's so weird that when I studied arts back then, I thought this was like a problem in my country. Like I had this idea that maybe in Chile art is like this weird like pyramid where one old dude sits on top and everyone has to kiss his ass in order to like become someone and like kind of try to live out of art. And then I thought, no, I'm not gonna do that because I was never very good at like following people or rules or stuff like that. And I thought like, okay, I have to find something else to do to live off. And what I always did was like have like part-time jobs. I discovered like I was kind of good for marketing and social media and stuff like that. And I kept art as a just like a side thing that's actually like allowing me to be happier, but not something that I could do to live out of. And I always had this idea of like this being only like this back home, because some people when they even in the art in the fiat art world, when they go to I don't know Europe or the States and they kind of make it a bit there and then they get back here, people look up to them and then they, I don't know, they do better. So I thought maybe outside people were more like open to new people, to new talent, to different, I don't know, structures. And then I realized, no, these people just went abroad and kissed someone else's ass or something like that. And yeah, through Bitcoin, I discovered like it's the whole world. It's not just my country or like, yeah, the little bubble I live in. And Bitcoin has opened that for me. Like, and now I'm dedicating so much more of my time to art. I do have part-time jobs still, but it's getting better. And yeah, like I can connect with people. I can sell art, which I thought it was like impossible in some moment. So it's very I don't know, it's crazy. Fiat world, how it ruins everything and how it ruined art. It's just crazy to think about it. But I love, well, I also love about Bitcoin community or like Bitcoin ethos, because it's not like we are like agreeing on stuff, but then we agree. And I see so much more collaboration, and I see so much more like we celebrate proof of work, and it doesn't matter if it's coming from someone else. I think Bitcoin people in general are more maybe less jealous and more open to see and to celebrate our differences, and in that when they come from this proof of work, this I don't know, honest work, you know. Yeah, and I guess I've seen also like that in what you guys are doing, like this idea of making this magazine in a decentralized way is crazy, but it's so beautiful. And yeah, as Rebel said, I don't have one yet, so I want to get one. I'm FOMOing once again, and I wanted to know, guys, when if you're going to go to like physical conferences, if you ship worldwide, if like yeah, can we see you in? Are you attending something?
Yeah. So it's being a decentralized group. If any one of us goes to either a big meetup, having party, or conference, usually they'll have some magazines out with them. Um, I'll be at Nashville, but not at the conference. So I'll be around at different events. I'll be at Andrew's Pleb Party, slinging some magazines. We'll have Log 4 by then, which is our latest issue of the magazine that's coming out. We're shooting for July 18th, our 2-year anniversary. It's actually our 1-year anniversary of the magazine, so that'll be out by then. Um, we do ship international. I've sent them all over the world. I just don't know how to set my website up so I don't get killed on shipping costs if people order from who knows where. So I handle all international shipments manually. So just shoot me a DM and we can work out, and I can look up the shipping costs and get it out to you.
Yeah, so now I need you to save me one copy. I'll be in Nashville. I'll be traveling mainly for work, but I will have like in the main conference, if everything goes well, I might have a new piece there too. But since I'm going for work, I won't be able to attend like this other side events and stuff like that. So please reach out. I mean, I will
Yeah,
DM you,
we'll
but
we'll
save me
link up.
one.
Sure. Yeah. So the next issue we're going to be printing 420. Much to Psyduck's dismay, he wanted 210, but he got outvoted. Um, but they're probably going to sell out quick. I would hazard a guess. There's going to be a lot of us down in Nashville and at different locations for different events. So I suspect they'll go quick. But I'll pull one aside for you.
Thank you so much. Go right.
And me, please, as well. I need to, yeah. If you get a one in there as well, I think I'll be in Nashville, so it'd be great. It'd be great to actually meet up. I will be, unlike Flo, I'll just be kind of the floating artist. Just gonna go around, see my fans, wave at them, etc. I don't have many, by the way.
Yeah, and I do want to give a shout out to Psyduck, who's down in the audience crying about the 210. So he's our head of design, and then V down there is an integral part of the magazine too. She's part of our core group, and kind of those people, along with the other core members, are kind of what put it all together. We're just a group of people who want to dedicate our time to working together to put together a fun magazine.
Hey, big up. Well, big up, Psyduck, and I'm really, really sorry that you didn't get your 210.
The
But
big
420 is a good number, you
Yeah,
know.
210 would be 210 would be gone way too quick.
Exactly. This is the problem with success. You see, this is it. You can't always get what you want. You know, when you're international magazine superstars, this is what happens. You know, you need to gotta serve the fans. Speaking of which, we've if anyone, by the way, wants to come up and ask any of the crew questions. Doug, if you want to put your case up for for getting the magazine back to 210, you're more than welcome to. But anyone in the chat room, if you want to actually come up and talk about anything Bitcoin art related, or ask Proof of Ink, or any of the kind of, I don't know what to call you guys, the node editors, anything, then by all means, just request and we will get you up. We've got a question in by kind of long time listener. I say long time listener. We've only had 8 episodes, but he's almost here every week as well, and fellow proud fellow artist, Mr. Mojo Tech, who wishes to know, why did you choose the octopus as your logo?
Great idea. So the logo was designed by Loco. That's true. If you guys don't follow Loco BTC, I highly suggest it. He's a super creative guy. Does awesome music as well as videos, and some cool art pieces as well. But it came about, one, because Octopus is Inc. and that's what I work in. But also the 8 principles of money from BJ Boyaparty and the bullish case for Bitcoin. So each arm represents a property of money. So that is the main portion, and then you kind of dig into it. And octopuses just fascinating animals. They've been around hundreds of thousands, probably millions of years. I don't know. They're one of the oldest animals that are around. That kind of like sharks, that have been around forever. And they're just so freaking smart. Just watching them trying to solve puzzles or escape from different jars and stuff that they have them on in labs and stuff. I got drawn to it, and I chose it.
That's really cool. It is a great logo. My personal interpretation of it, I didn't know that it went so deep, which with around the different parts of what makes money is. My interpretation of it is that you guys were so popular, and I think you had a lot of work leading up to the halving. If I remember seeing on Twitter, is that you needed like 8 arms in order to actually get all the work done.
Well, funny enough, my press has 8 arms on it as well. It's the original one I had was just 6. I had to upgrade and spend some of my hard-earned Bitcoin for a new press, but luckily I was able to exchange that with a pleb that I know was going to keep that into cold storage for a long time. So that's a fun thing, is to look at something you've made a major purchase on, and look at it and think of what the value would be if you kept onto the Bitcoin. It was a hard thing to do, but I needed it. It allows me to print faster and have more colors. But yeah, I love thinking about how much it really cost me, and I'm probably going to end up doing that for years to come.
But that's a great reminder, surely, because it's almost like I guess it's proof of work. And I know you can look at anything, and I look around now at fiat stuff, and I think, oh my gosh, if I just sold that just at that time, it would have been worth a lot more. But at the same time, something that you actually use to create, and that brings me great joy, almost, to kind of have like I use 3D printing as part of my kind of art, some of my techniques, and having a 3D printer there, I kind of look at it some days and think, that could probably be worth thousands now, but at the same time I look at it and go, actually no, it's brought me further on my Bitcoin journey, and it's a valuable tool that I use most days in my kind of art practice as well.
Yeah, I look at it as just a different type of Bitcoin miner, right? Like I use it. I get Bitcoin when I use it. It just costs a different type of energy. I'm not plugging it in. I'm doing the work myself. But at the end of the day, people like to joke and say, like, "Oh, I'm off to the fiat mines." When they go to work, and I get to go to the Bitcoin mines, and that's a cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah, I think I try not to think much about how much like materials and stuff like that cost. Oh, like in perspective, like I try to keep them in the context of when I bought them, because otherwise you go crazy. Like you cannot, like we have to spend to survive, and if you're converting everything to Bitcoin, you might even have to sell, or if you are earning in Bitcoin. So if you have like a Bitcoiner job and you start like moving on to the Bitcoin standard, it's so hard because then you have to sell it for fiat to just to survive like your daily costs of living. So I try not to be too, I don't know, sad about it, and just try to make my stack bigger than it was before, like not thinking in other terms, like just how much sats I'm trying to make more sats if I need to spend this to survive or to work or to, yeah, improve the new piece or whatever. At the end of the day, I know I'm gonna try to sell that and try to make more sats.
Absolutely. There's a wise person I know who likes to say, "May you have more Bitcoin tomorrow than you had today."
I love that. I wish that for all of us.
Yep, definitely. I think that's great, and I'm trying proof. I'm trying to get more Bitcoin every day. I'm sitting down on a chair at the moment in our conversation. I'm feeling really guilty right now. Actually, I'm thinking perhaps should I put it
I got
on the marketplace.
I gotta say, it was a lot more. It was a lot easier to earn more Bitcoin every day fiat mining. Um, but I'm still glad I don't do that anymore. It's been very freeing to be able to do this for the past year and see it grow.
That's great. And what so speaks going from that angle as well, because I know there's several artists in the audience as well, and I'm in the middle of the kind of transition at the moment, and Flow is probably a bit further ahead of me in terms of making the leap from a fiat economy into the Bitcoin economy. Um, I guess it's the sooner you do it, the better it's going to get, because that's the way Bitcoin works, isn't it? The price will go up the more Bitcoin you acquire. What kind of advice would you give to artists and businesses? And they're not independent either, because artists have to be businesses as well at the same time in order to, as Florencia said, eat and keep the lights running, etc. So what advice would you give to artists who are thinking, do you know what, I really fancy doing this a bit more full time? I'm thinking about doing it. What should I do?
Have a plan. I kind of jumped into it a lot. I mean, I had an idea. I jumped in it with an idea, less of a plan. Um, but make sure you have a good group of people that will support you right from the get go. The only reason I was able to be successful so far in what I did was because of my Stack Chain crew. They were my early adopters as far as buying and supporting me and what I'm doing, and they echoed that message to other people and brought it to a larger audience. So build your base, of solid people that support you, and and seek their advice and help, when they can, because there's only so much you can think about, and being able to you know ask that group of people to for advice on certain things is definitely helped me out a lot. But it's not for everyone. Like, if you don't have, you really got to be careful, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be in the position where you have to sell your Bitcoin to support yourself. Um, so have as personally, I think it's best to focus on acquiring as much Bitcoin first as possible, because I'd hate to give the advice just like, oh, follow your heart and do your dreams and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if you're gonna have to sell your Bitcoin, that'll be horrible. So I don't advise that. Just be careful.
I agree. I think that's why I find it really tough at the moment. It's like I'm in the fiat mines to buy stuff in fiat, but also I'm doing Bitcoin art because I believe in that kind of, and when I transact with one of my kind of tenets of my art is that to transact with my suppliers, etc., with as much as I can in Bitcoin. But it is that kind of I don't want to touch my stack, and every
Yeah,
time I touch
yeah.
my
I,
stack,
I
I'm
guess
just
the
like,
best thing is don't get into it your first cycle. Let it build up, let it appreciate, and let it be there to be able to support you as much as possible.
and it does, as go kind of circling back to the start of our conversation as well, it does kind of lend to that time and proof of work, etc. Because the longer you stack, the more valuable your Bitcoin is, which means you can potentially go between projects without kind of spending or dedicate more time to your projects, etc. So it's kind of like, rather than the fiat negative cycle, it's this Bitcoin virtuous cycle that does allow for incredible bits of art, and allowing people, much like yourself, going from the military to make these incredible switches, metamorphosis, a change, uh, to go into the art space. And I think that's incredible power of Bitcoin.
And I should add as well, it helps if you have a spouse that is on board with your plan, because it's a huge ask for them to be able to make this huge of a leap. I know my wife came with me to the halving party in El Salvador, and she just thought, okay, you're a little bit crazy just trying to do this T-shirt thing, but it seems to be working out okay. And she was blown away by all the people wearing my stuff down there, and that was kind of an eye opener for her of that, this could work.
I will second you on that. I have a long suffering girlfriend who supports me, definitely emotionally anyway. Around kind of my work and what I'm doing. And she isn't, she knows about Bitcoin, but she isn't, I wouldn't say a Bitcoiner as such. But yeah, I just feel sorry for them. But at the same time, she sees exactly what I'm doing. She sees how happy it makes me, how it improves my mental health, how I wake up every morning kind of with a skip in my step if I'm going down the studio and making some art. So it's great. I let's hear it for all the better halves, because they are supporting the Bitcoin art economy.
Yeah.
For sure. And I have to express again how important it is to have friends that support you. Bitcoiners, to be precise. I mean, they're from people helping me out with my website to my friend Sadholder set me up with a BTC Pay server. Um, other friends helping out with sales. It's a no one's a full time paid employee, but there's so many people behind the scenes that have led to my success. If I guess you call it success, kind of, but led me to where I am today. I guess, right? Um, it's really a full team, and being able to have that crew to help you out, it really is what makes it or breaks it. And it's just people supporting one another. Just like doing flow, printing Flo's art for her, and it's just networking and getting other people's projects out there in front of everyone else.
Yeah, it's for me. It has made it easier to find the support, and it's so weird that you find support in this strange, sometimes even anonym people of the internet, and you feel like you have been friends forever, or that you agree in so many levels, and you have maybe never even met in person. But yeah, actually it gives me like a lot of hope in humanity and in the future, just as much as Bitcoin itself, like the people behind it, like the cyber hornets, if you want to. um, and about growing, well, moving to the Bitcoin standard. My experience so far is, yeah, you have to be like, it's for the moment I have had so much support here at home to make it possible. Like I haven't figured it completely out yet. I'm looking for alternatives, but my position is like, everything is in Bitcoin. So of course I'm gonna have to spend in Bitcoin, and I wish I could spend it only in places where people were stacking Bitcoin, but that's not the case where I live. Like, it's not, adoption is not very big here in Chile, but still I prefer to be in this Bitcoin standard, because it also changes my mentality. I realized that I want to save even harder than when I was mining fiat. It's like every sat is very precious. And as I said, like I know I have to spend, I know I buy my materials and stuff like that. And I try not to think of much like about it. I mean that in retrospective. Like I try not to think of that much like, oh, last month Bitcoin price was this and I spent on that and whatever. But yeah, I do try to be careful and at the end to have more sats than that when I started. Um, and also I have made some very risky, I have taken some risky decisions, kind of speculative attack on fiat that I do not recommend because it's been like so stressful and hard. And I mean, my stack is probably bigger because of it, and I'm grateful for that. But also, like my levels of anxiety have raised so much, and I have to be so worried of like mining my Bitcoin and my or fiat when it was that time. So yeah, be conscious of what you decide and try to, of course, have support. Like you said, you have Rebel, you have your girlfriend. I had to orange pill my boyfriend, and now he's orange pill, so that one is good. But yeah, try to have the support not only like back home is to survive maybe, and online or whatever you call it is people who understands and can give you other kind of support, because we're facing something that's really new, and our normie friends can't really relate to what we're living. I think so.
Yeah, I definitely got some interesting looks last year. So in the U.S., we like to have cookouts in the summer, and having to explain to a bunch of people that I no longer work as a defense contractor, and I gave up this really lucrative job to print T-shirts for this internet money. Um, that especially when it was, God, last summer, I think we're at like 20s or something like that. So yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. But it's gonna be a fun next couple of years, I think. So I'm looking forward to that.
I understand you so well. Like one of my mom's best friends told her that she was so sorry that she thought I had a talent for art, but she was so sorry that I was wasting all my talent doing this Bitcoin stuff. So yeah, we are still super early, but yeah. I wanted to ask you before, like we have a couple of minutes yet still here, and if anyone wants to join, please do. And otherwise, if there's anything you like, new projects or new stuff you want to talk about, something you're planning, maybe give us, I don't know, some top secrets, proof of ink secrets of the future.
Yeah, so I'll be working with more artists coming up soon. I won't name names yet, but they'll be on the horizon. I said I always prefer to work with artists as opposed to coming up with my own designs. Occasionally, one will hit me that I think will be really cool, and it's funny. So like I always appreciate everyone else's work more than my own, and it's funny when I see some of my own designs become some of my best sellers. It's kind of like, wow, really? Like I never thought it was. You always kind of doubt your own ability. So it's humbling to see that those are popular. But mainly the magazine. The magazine is going to be amazing. Log 4 is coming out July 18th. We've had Maxis Club do the Red for Maxis Club do the cover for it, and you can see a little video of it up in the nest. But that's going to be a really cool addition. I think it's going to really go quick, and Psyduck's going to cry when we run out of 420, and we should have voted on 1,000.
Psyduck, mate, you're going to be crying a lot, I think, over the next couple of months. By the look of it, it's just wait till you do a print run of 20,000. You could do, will be long 21,000. That's a nice number. Just a couple of orders of magnitude higher than it is right now. So it'll be all good. Proof. If you could work with one artist in the world besides Rebel Money Flow and the other people obviously that are in the audience, or any kind of, I don't mean Bitcoiners either, which artist would it be?
Only alive.
Well, you can have either because this is a hypothetical question.
I don't know. So my favorite artist growing up when I was into art, I don't think it'd make a good T-shirt. I mean, you could probably do something with it, but I loved Salvador Dali. He was my favorite because he was just such an eccentric artist, and it was just so different than what anyone else was doing. Um, so probably him. I think it'd be really cool.
I think that would be pretty cool, wouldn't
But
it?
if we're talking Bitcoiners now, I'd love to work with Maddox on a project. I think he's super talented.
Get him involved. I know he's been posing naked lately, so that could be another way of kind of getting those copies out the door. The middle page spread, Madex. Just saying.
Is someone slipping Stackchain Magazine secrets to you?
Yeah, listen, Psyduck's there. Planning a coup, planning to take over. That's what's happening. Yeah, I'm an operative. I'm an agent from the 210 edition club. So yes, Proof. It's been an absolute joy to have you on the show today. It's great, and Flo and I are humbled by the stories of all the Bitcoin artists that we have in the space. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you so much for you and your team to give up your time to come and talk to us. That's really, really cool. So thank you for that. And just before you go as well, can you just tell people where they can get hold of Stackchain Magazine, or if there's artists in the audience that require your services, where they will go?
Sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. I don't normally talk, even in our own Stackchain spaces. I'm usually the quiet one. So thank you for doing the heavy lifting on this conversation today. As far as Stackchain Magazine, they can look at some of the past articles we've done on stackchainmagazine.com and .net if they're working. Sadek, I think we just got .com working today. You can order the magazine at proofofink.com, as well as any of the shirts or fine art on proofofink.com. If you want anyone want to work on a project, just shoot me a DM. I'm on my phone way too much when I should be working. So shoot me a DM. I'll see it, and we can work on a project together.
Yeah, that's so cool. So guys, now, go and send Proof of Ink a DM to start doing some very cool new projects. And thank you so much for being here, for joining us, for sharing your story with us. It's been super fun. And yeah, I didn't expect, of course, I wanted to ask you what your story was, but I was trying to imagine it. And yeah, ex-military wasn't on my list. So that was very cool. Rebel, do you have any last words before we close this?
Just have an awesome week, and keep going, guys. And as a Bitcoin artist community, it's really important that we keep talking, keep the ideas flowing. My DMs are open as well, so if anyone wants to chat or anything around the space, please get in touch. And I think that's it, Florencia. Just have an incredibly creative, amazing week, really, and keep pushing the Bitcoin art needle forward.
Yes.
And may you have more Bitcoin tomorrow than you had today.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Love it. I think it's a
Thank
good
you,
note to
guys.
end on. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.